Hey, you guys. Sorry we're a little bit late. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, i.e. Jill couldn't figure out where the live stream was streaming to. And so you may have seen a couple of little short snippets with our broadcast will begin shortly. That was because I was a ding-dong, couldn't figure out where it was. Yeah, but I found it. And now I have it shared everywhere. So hopefully everybody's going to be able to find it. And Brian, you did turn the microphone on, right? Okay, just double checking that. So hi guys, how are you doing? Let me go see here. We've already got 60 people. Let's see, we've got a bunch of people. Oh, Dee is in Maui. Don't we wish we were in Maui with Dee? Rachel White, Vilma, let me go back. Roseanne, yeah, nothing, says it will start shortly. Yeah, like I said, ding dong Jill. Sandy Ballantyne, hi Sandy, and Lena's here, and tons of you guys. So I'm so glad that you guys are taking time on your Sunday to hang out with us again. So this guy, we only got just a little tiny bit of his knowledge during the first Facebook Live broadcast, and luckily, you kind of owe me, because I've sat next to you for a 16-hour flight to China.
That was a long flight. It was a long and short flight.
Yes, exactly. We solved all the world's problems. Yep. And so I talked him into coming back. And this is going to be kind of a regular thing. He's going to come back on a semi-regular basis. And so he shipped 4 boxes of books to me, guys. 4 boxes. Not small boxes either, big boxes of beads on beads. Books on beads. So if he filled up 3 shelves of a bookshelf for me, and I cannot wait because. So you're going to read all those to us, right?
Yes.
Page at a time?
Verbatim, word for word.
Even the German ones? And
yep. Yeah, I learned Italian on the way here on the flight. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited because I get to go through all those books too. And as I find really cool things that I want to show you, I'll either show it with pictures, or we'll do a little video on stuff that I found in there too when John's not here to educate us.
And the books go back to the 70s, so it's quite an extensive history of beads from all around the world.
Well, I feel like bead history is not being studied quite as much right now in the world. Beads are not quite as trendy, maybe, or maybe just a lot of that history has already been researched.
Yep.
So I'm really excited that he's got this. So that means a lot of these books are no longer in print. You cannot get them anymore. So that's the historical archive, is those books, which is very cool. Let me kind of see here. Oh, we're up to 100 people now, you guys. Oh, Dee says Hawaiian Airlines is flying direct to Austin now.
Wow.
Thank you. I love that you know that, because I actually happen to know that too. I've always promised to take Mom to Hawaii, and so I'm hoping that at some time I can still make that happen. Oh, Miss Janice is here from the UK. I see so many names that I know, and I see a bunch of names that I don't know too. So you guys are probably out there, watching what I post and that kind of thing. And we probably just don't interact quite as much. So I'm really excited to see you guys there too. So what you got for us today, John? What's our topic? We're talking about
today
coatings.
We're talking about coatings.
Okay.
And
but I need to show, before we even start that, yeah. I need to show him the goodies.
Okay.
Because I made him bring more bead mixes. Because, last time we had the custom bead mix that he made for us, and we all fell in love with it, and it sold out right away. So this time I said, make some mixes related to what we're talking about, which is bead coatings. So let me kind of give you a little view of what I've already put on the website. And if Mom is listening out there, Mom, if you can pop the link in of where they can buy these mixes, but let me kind of walk you through them. This is a luster dagger drops mix. These are so cool. This has got kind of like a slightly curved teardrop shape to it. And these guys are super long. They are 21 millimeters long. I love the color on these too, is just so delicious. These guys are some personal favorites of mine. Well, first of all, they're purple, right? But also these have, and you can kind of see that the shadow of it, it's got a little bit of a corrugated or rippled edge here on the outside. And I just think that that is super cool on these little dagger guys. So one mix here, you get all 5 of those strands, and that one is $18 on this. All these mixes, by the way, are half what we normally would sell them for. So that's one mix. These, I'm so excited about these because these rice-shaped pearls, they're 4x6 millimeter. This is going to be something that I'm going to start carrying in the store because I already carried the Czech pearls from Jon in round sizes, in 2, 3, 4, and 6 millimeter. They're 39 colors, right?
Yep, 39 colors.
See, I even know that. Yep. And so now he's done all 39 colors in this rice shape. And so I am going to add these to the store. It'll probably be late May, early June before they're available in my store. But right now, all 8 of these colors. And again, this is a half price deal. So you get all 8 of these, and those guys are $12. Wow. I really like this shape. It's super great for kind of like if you're doing fringing and you want a little something on the end of your fringing, that's a really great shape. These guys are Chinese rondelles, 1 millimeter. Technically, they're 1.5 by 2.5 millimeter, but look at these gorgeous colors. I was super excited at the colors because, you know, I love turquoise also. So these have a lot of greens and turquoises, and just this one has kind of a blue iridescence to it, blue purpley iridescence. And then the purple, we've got some olivine right here. So these are gorgeous. And those are $12 also. And you're getting 8 strands. They are 14 inches long. And because I knew somebody was going to ask me, I counted. It's about 200 beads on a strand. So then over here, oh, you're not done, Brian. Bring it on in. We've got these guys. So this is a black jet mix. Kind of like, so this is one of those bead mixes like we had last time where it's a whole bunch of different shapes. There's different finishes on this. So we've got matte and we've got opaque. We've got, looks like we've got some transparent opaque. And then some of these coatings that Jon is going to talk to us about and educate us on. So God, look at how, I'm a sucker for a large fire polish. I just love those so much. They are gorgeous.
Yeah, the beads in this mix range from about 4 millimeter up to about 18 millimeters. So there's quite an assortment of size and shape.
The little black tulips are really cool too. I was, when I was writing the descriptions for the stuff online, I was picking through here and I was like, oh my God, I love these. So this is something else that I really love, because if that's not an earring, I don't know what is. Okay, so then over here, we have the pearlized mix. Is that right?
Yep, that's
okay.
The pearlized mix.
Okay, just making sure. I kept getting confused between the pearlized and the wax.
It's white pearlized coating over transparent or opaque colored beads.
Okay.
So when you see the pearlized finish is semi-transparent, so it's picking up the color of, you know, like this would have been a hyacinth or an orange bead. This would have been a cyan. This would have been a light sapphire. This would have been a regular sapphire. So it's picking up the actual color of the glass underneath.
Cool. Then, so that's why you get the pastel colors.
Yep.
So something like this, is that like a black underneath there?
That would have been a dark purple. Dark
purple underneath there, because, you know, I have to go straight for the purple.
Yep.
These just glow so beautifully. I really like those a lot. And I really like this shape, too. That's a really nice oval that is very cool. But again, one of the other reasons I'm probably partial to these, oops, excuse me while I just throw beads around, is because of those large fire polish shapes. So I'm going to have to make myself a necklace out of some of that. Then over here, on the website, I've got this listed as the wax mix, but it actually, so these ones like this are the wax, and then it also has some pearlized in there. So yeah, so those are the waxed ones, and he's going to explain that to us.
Pearlized.
Because I had to ask him to. So that's a combo of the two. And then our last one in the cute little kitty dish. I've been dying to use the cute little kitty dish. These are these skinny daggers. And I measured them. I think that they're 12 millimeters long, if I recall correctly. But these make super cool earrings. Like if you hang a bunch of these on like a piece of chain, and they have a really flirty, ruffly look to them. So I really like these a lot. And these happen to be some of my favorite colors. The Aztec Gold, this is the Vintage Gold, the Aluminum Silver, and he's going to explain a little bit about those too. So those are the items that we have up on the website. And then he also has brought some sample cards that he's willing to part with, and buttons, oh my gosh. And then we've got some really cool vintage clasps. And then he has got one package, this is insane, of Indian beads that are more than 150 years old. And I didn't buy them, you guys, only because he said that he would bring me another one. So I still get to have the cool beads, but I thought that that was really cool. So you can tell that he is planning on doing some purging of his personal stash, and we get to be the beneficiaries of that. So I wanted to kind of walk you guys through all that. It's on the website. If you go to jillwisemandesigns.com, click on shop. The very first, I created a special category that is the Facebook Live. And so if you click on the Facebook Live category, that is where you'll find all of these items listed. Okay? So now I'll let you educate us on all the goodies.
Maybe we should pull up the pictures of the glass pearl production first.
Oh, okay, cool.
Start with that and then go through the sample cards.
Okay. And we've got a bit of a delay here, so hang with us.
I can go to the first one.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I see. I'm going back through the comments to see if there was anything I needed to respond to, and I see that Mom is like dying over those little crystals too. Oh, Ann Shirley says she misses your parents' annual visit to her shop.
Thanks, Ann.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid much of history isn't being studied, of which beads are a big part of. Well, he's doing his best here. Okay, so let's walk you through this. All right, so we'll start
with the first slide. All of the glass pearls, typically in the round sizes, are made on an alabaster white bead. There's 2 white beads and 1 crystal bead in the Czech Republic that are used with most of the coatings. So they're going to string these, they're going to make the 2 millimeter, the 3, the 4, 6 millimeter round, and they're going to string them. This lady right here in this picture, she's made the glass pearls for me for probably 14, 15 plus years now. And each of those round beads, she does it by size, so she'll have one whole card as she's stringing there of 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter. So they're about 2 feet by 1.5 feet, and she'll string, a few thousand beads onto them. And as you see, she's pushing them all to the left at this point.
Is there like a needle or something attached to these strands?
So the strands are strung with the needle.
Okay.
They're put into bunches, and at this point they've already been strung, and she's basically now taking the strands and weaving them back and forth. So as you can see, there's the same amount of beads on each string going through, because the next step in this process is she's going to space each bead probably about 1/4 inch apart, because this is the rack that she is actually going to take and use to dip the beads into the vat of coating.
So it's fascinating that it's such a manual process, because in my head there's a machine that does that, like spaces it all out and stuff, and instead there's a person.
So in the Czech Republic, you're going to see the quality of the Czech glass pearl is 10 times better than anything coming out of China, because everything in the Czech Republic is still done the way they did it 100 years ago, all by hand, all, they're stringing them out on the white thread. And in this next picture here, you see she's using a little plastic, it's almost like a note card in a way, to make sure the beads get spaced the way they need to be spaced. So at this point, the beads are still loose, so they can move. Like if she were to tip it one way or the other, they would basically go down to the left or to the right. So, she needs to be very careful as she's getting this whole screen done, because as you can see, there's thousands of beads.
Right.
And next thing she's going to do is she's going to dip it into a glue-like substance, which makes the string hard.
Okay.
And it keeps the beads actually suspended.
Oh.
So they don't move when she goes to start the dipping process.
So when they come off the strand, so those of you, if you've ever bought beads on a strand that have been coated, you get some of that little coating at the holes.
Yeah, so
and that's not really the coating, it's the glue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the little white, it's like a gelatin type color. Almost like something you'd think the dentist would have when they're like cleaning your teeth or putting a little epoxy, or it's almost like an epoxy.
Okay.
So that keeps the beads stationary, and you'll see on the thread after they've been dipped in the actual pearlized finish, you're going to have a little bit of color left on the string. Where the bead was, you're not going to have any color.
Okay.
So these racks right here, so say they're going to do a 6mm bead.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to want to make about 600 strands of that bead.
Okay.
So that's going to equate to maybe 8 to 10 of these grids of the same exact bead in the same exact color. So those have already been dipped into the gelatin. So they can tip them up, they can tip them down, they can do pretty much anything they want with them. And the beads are going to basically be stationary there because of the gelatin.
Which makes a lot of sense,
so,
because we've all spilled beads.
So as you can see in this screen, they've got 8, 10, 12, whatever it is, of that looks like it's probably going to be about an 8mm size bead ready to be dipped into the actual color coatings of the glass pearls. There's over 140 different colors of the regular glass pearls in the shiny finish, and they can also do them in the matte. I selected the 39 colors we thought looked the best together and were complementary, because you can't necessarily carry everything.
Wait a minute, why can't we?
But
I'll work on them.
Yeah. So at this point, so say we ordered 600 strands of 6mm, 480 strands of 8mm, 1200 of 2mm, and we're going to do it in the eggplant color. So at this point, the lady would have, X number of racks of 2, X number of racks of 3, X number of racks of 4, so that she has all of the stuff we need for that particular color, because the paint comes in and it's in the powdered form.
Okay.
So it comes in these boxes, or these basically 5-gallon tubs, depending on the quantity they're going to use. And she then knows, okay, today I'm going to do eggplant. Tomorrow I'm going to do lavender pink. The next day I'm going to do aqua green. But she basically is like, okay, this is what they need for the next 2 months, or the next month, or the next, however long it is of that particular color.
Okay.
So we'll do varying amounts. It's not always the same. Like if we know cream and white are the most popular, maybe it's 2,000 strands in 2mm. But she's going to get that vat. And if you go to the next screen,
so, for instance, when coral became a big hot color last year, and all of a sudden everybody was begging for coral,
then we would have increased the amount of So now this is the vat. So this vat of this is actually the white pearl color.
Okay.
So this vat is kept in a temperature controlled room. So they have to keep the air temperature and the humidity and the like they can't have a fan blowing or anything, because it has to be very, very controlled. So she will then move from the other room where they get all the stuff glued and all the stuff onto the cards. She's got these big things that she'll roll in there. All of the sections are, she'll start with the 2, then she goes to the 3, then she goes to the 4, by size. And each of those racks basically will be dipped into that pearlized coating 7 times.
Oh, okay.
And that ensures that, if you scratch it or you drop it, or you're not gonna see the white underneath.
So is that a standard 7 times? That, or it's just that these guys go the extra mile and do it extra?
So some companies only do 4 times.
Yeah.
A lot of the pearls you see coming out of China are 3.
Yeah.
Anytime you see flaking, like if you just put your fingernail next to the pearl, that means they probably only did it 2 or 3 times.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
because that's one thing about the pearls that I get from you. I have never seen a scratched pearl.
Yeah.
But that explains it.
Yeah, so she's going to dip each of those cards 7 times. So, you're talking about probably about a 12 to 15 minute process for each of those racks.
Yeah, because
so it's a very, 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 stringing them, getting them on the racks, dipping them. It's a very, very labor intensive process.
Definitely. Lisa Bojanski, I totally think I screwed up your name. But anyway, she says, it seems like we are underpaying for all this specialized work. I have said that about every single Czech bead. Once I've seen how they are made and how labor intensive it is, that I'm just like, I'm stunned that we don't pay more money for them.
So here's the dipping room, and you can see she basically sort of swings it in, and then she sort of swings it back out. So the top part comes out first, and then she lets it drip, and then she'll do the same thing basically 7 times.
Wow.
And she tries to make sure that as she dips it in, she makes sure the full strand all the way to the edges, everything gets submerged.
Right, that makes sense.
And she leaves it under there so that, it surrounds the bead. And then when she pulls it out, she's very methodical in how it drips so that you don't have a thicker coating on the bottom versus the top.
And I'm sure that the dripping, keeping it from drip stain on the bead is a big part of it too. So there's a lot of skill in that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, she does a phenomenal job.
Raina says no gloves while dipping. Raina, you've been to the Czech Republic. There's no OSHA. She's absorbing that all into her skin.
Most of the coatings are actually made in Germany or Switzerland.
Okay.
So there is a smell. It's not toxic like at the Christmas tree ornament factory, the Christmas ornament factory, where it was, you could definitely tell paint smell was nauseating.
Yeah.
But this now, the pearls are done.
Okay.
And she's putting it into a formula that eats away at the glue on the string.
Uh-huh.
So the formula does not in any way, shape, or form. So this is after the pearls have sat there for 24 hours, completely dry. There's no chance of paint getting, it's still a clear liquid, but that, whatever the liquid is, when you look at the string, it basically eats away at the glue so that she can then, now in this one, she's pulling them all down together.
Yeah.
So that you can see at the top of the string, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue. So the white section is where the pearl was actually on the string when she was dipping it.
Okay.
The blue section is the white cotton thread actually absorbed a little bit of the color.
Yeah, cool. And we'll show you a close-up of that when we're done with these slides.
So the thing about the pearls Jill is selling from us is we take the pearls off of this white cotton thread. Everything is, again, quality checked, because after the dipping process is done, if they had strung some bad pearls, some cracked glass, some stuff that the hole wasn't quite right, if they're just left on the white cotton thread and sold that way, there's a chance you're going to have 5 or 6, 7% bad beads.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen that, especially in the smaller sizes.
Yeah, 2 millimeters is the most problematic because it's so hard to see with the naked eye.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's one of the reasons why I chose to carry Jon's pearls, is because he does do that extra quality control step that a lot of the others don't. So when you're buying them from me, then you're actually getting 50 usable pearls as opposed to probably 47 or maybe 45 or whatever.
So yeah, and then this picture, if we could flip back real quick.
Oh, to the
the last picture, yeah. So these bracelets were basically, I believe they were all 8 millimeter Czech glass pearls in all of our colors, and basically done on stretch magic. And we basically at the factory decided, let's see the durability, let's see the strength. So the employees wore these bracelets for about 3 months.
Oh, how cool!
And it sort of reiterated that the powder coatings we were using to make the pearlized finishes were some of the better coatings. And yeah, it was a little bit more expensive, but in the case of the glass pearls, you really get what you pay for.
Yeah, I definitely think that. And so I'm excited to see you and let me also say that he carries other sizing that I personally don't carry yet. I'm going to be adding the bigger sizes. John had mentioned, I think last time you were here, that he's seeing more interest in some of the larger size pearls these days, kind of that statement piece kind of pearl. And so I am going to be adding the larger sizes in also. And then now he's bringing in the rice pearls and definitely adding those. So that way we can have everything from the itty bitties to the big ones. And it makes me not worry so much about, that S company going away, because frankly, the pearls from the Czech Republic are not as expensive and they're just as good quality, if not better.
And I mean, the 2mm glass pearls you can substitute in a lot of the Swarovski patterns for the 2mm round.
Yeah.
And still make a really great piece of jewelry at quite a bit less money.
Exactly.
So,
Festival of Lights is always the most famous of my projects, and you could totally use a 4mm Czech pearl in there instead of a Swarovski, and really cut your cost on it. And if you're doing it as a gift or if you're trying to sell them. So let's kind of show you a close up here of this strand.
These are pearlized fire polish that I had left on the original string that would have been on the rack at the factory. So as you can see on these white threads, that's where the 4mm fire polish would have been, and then that's where the dye was dipping. So anytime we have a bead done, these would all be pulled off at the factory, quality controlled and restrung onto 50-piece strands versus just shipping them. We could just send them like this, just tie a little knot, at the top. There's probably 120 beads on that strand, but we would not know, how many were good, how many were bad. Like in this case, you'll see here, there's like a little scratch on that bead. Sometimes the holes don't get coated completely, or this one, there's a little bit of stuff sticking out. So, that's the one thing we really try to focus on is the quality control.
Yeah.
And that just gives you sort of an idea of, this would have been, there probably would have been 40 strands of this on the rack that she was dipping. And, with the pearlized coatings, you do have the option of not just doing one color. So later on, we're going to, in another video segment, we're going to go through some of the 2-color pearlized beads and that process. But in the meantime, I want to discuss with you guys or show you, we're not just limited to round beads with the pearlized finish. So any of these, like you see with this new shape, Jill's going to have the oval. We can do a seashell. We can do, this is almost like a pineapple look. You can do the tulip. And these are all, just to give you an idea, this was all done with just the white pearlized finish.
So hypothetically, I could talk you into a special order of, I could pick a shape
you could
and
say, I want to do
a couple of
daggers,
colors.
And I want to do white, peach, cream. You could say, I want to do...
You guys, put your requests in now.
So like here, this is a pressed bead. So the 1 means it's a bead. 3-2 means it's got a pearlized finish. So if it was 1-1-1, it would just be a pressed bead. If it was 1-5-1, it would mean it's a fire polish bead. In this case, 3-2 means it's basically a pressed bead with a pearlized finish. 40104 is going to be the article number. So that's the actual number of this mold. And then the size is 15mm. So we have the same bead here, probably in an 18 millimeter. This is the same shape,
Yeah.
same white pearlized finish. This, though, was done over a Siam bead, and this was done over a Montana bead.
Wow.
So it gives you it basically shows you what can be done with one white pearlized finish, and you change the base of the bead, you get a completely different look, a completely different feel, and it's something you can't do with just glass alone.
And so it's kind of, they've done it long enough that there's chemistry involved and they know kind of what to expect, but there's still surprises, right?
Yep. I mean, there's so many different combinations that you can do that nobody over there, it would take 500 years to go through all the combinations.
Okay, we got to find some that haven't been done.
So I mean, this is something that, it's like a few years ago I was like, all right, let's experiment and let's pick a whole bunch of different colors of glass and let's just try the white finish. And then this sort of gives you an idea of the colors we've selected. These are 6 and 8 millimeters, and all of these colors come in 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8.
So these are your 39 colors. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
There might be a couple colors missing.
Okay.
But obviously the white and the cream, those are probably the two most popular colors.
Definitely.
Black, surprisingly enough, is extremely popular, and I think it's people want something with a little more shine, a little more class than just a plain black glass druck bead.
Yeah, a pearlized coating does have a special glimmer to it.
Yeah, luminescence.
Luminescence, that's a good word.
And then this satin taupe was a color we added a few years ago, and that's actually become one of our #1 sellers, just because it's
very neutral.
It's not shining, it's not matte, it's kind of in between, and it looks vintage.
Yeah. I love your selection. You've got really good colors, and they play so nicely together. I look down on these color cards and I immediately start seeing some color combos that I would want to put together. Some of the purples, some of the greens, that pink to peach range right there is gorgeous together. So I can definitely see myself. We're already running into problems. We've had to stop selling a bunch of our kits that we use Swarovski stuff for because we're not being able to get certain colors anymore. And so I'm definitely looking at, for pearls, I'm going to be mainly concentrating on yours. I still don't have the Preciosa pearls yet, but I honestly don't see the reason for us to have to pay Preciosa prices if we can get just as good a quality from Jon. So kit-wise, we're going to kind of re-kits with Jon's Czech pearls, and then with crystals, we're going to probably start with some Preciosa. But yeah, we've had to take just in the last week, we've had to take 6 different kits off the website because at least one of the components we can't get anymore from Swarovski. So, bummer. But that also is good for you guys in that it means I'm going to have to come out with a bunch of new kits. So
I'll keep you busy.
Yes, exactly.
So a couple years ago, we decided to experiment with using the different pearlized finishes over black. So we took a lot of the different colors and did them over black. So it's the same as, all of the pearlized coatings are semi-translucent. So as you saw earlier with the different colors like the cyan, the aqua, the sapphire, the base color kind of comes through. So on these coatings, you've got the pearlized finish over black, and you can sort of see the lines of where the facets are on the fire polish. So the company that did this for us called them Esmeralda, and they had been very, very, very popular for a couple of years. But it goes to show you that, experimenting with the pearlized finishes leads to something completely different, completely unusual.
Well, and you get kind of just that shadow on the facets of the fire polish, where I assume if you did that over just a plain round bead, a black plain round bead, you might get a deeper color, slightly deeper color, but you're not going to see those little shadows. Yeah, okay.
And that's one of the reasons you hardly ever see any of the pearlized finishes done over crystal.
Okay.
Because there is no defining color, there is no contrast. It's just kind of...
It would almost be like a luster, kind of, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just a couple comments here. People are super excited. Everybody wants a pearl that mimics the black greenish Tahitian pearls.
Okay.
So that's on our to-do list.
Okay.
Somebody asked if, and there's a bunch of votes for that. Somebody asked earlier about when the next trip to the Czech Republic to get into the to the factories is. I know we're all chomping at the bit, aren't we?
Hopefully March of 2022. If not, it would be October of 2022.
Yeah.
And I think it just depends on when the Czech Republic opens back up again.
Yep.
Level of vaccines over there, level of vaccines here. I mean, I'm hearing now we're at about 50%. In most states, and then just level of comfort with the tour guides we partner with and our translator.
Right. Well, and even, we also have to make sure that, the hotels that we were dealing with and the vendors that we were dealing with over there, the bus drivers and stuff like that everybody survived the COVID shutdowns, so we may have to find some alternate resources and things. So it's going to be a bit of a trick this time. To get everything scheduled, and like you said, we have to make sure that the Czech Republic is opened up to U.S. visitors.
I can imagine this next trip there will be probably 2 or 3 hiccups during the trip.
Yeah.
That will just be completely out of my control. But as long as everybody understands that going into it, it's a group of friends traveling together.
Yeah.
We're there to have fun. Everything might not go our way, but we're going to do our best to make sure, if this falls through, we have plan B. Yeah. And, we'll make stuff happen.
Yeah. And we're always really good at pivoting. If something does happen on the ground, we've both been there. Well, he's been there for the last 20 years off and on. I've been there twice. But we have contacts and things there to make it happen. We do always try to just keep it to the spring or the fall. Because in the summertime, it gets too hot and too crowded.
Summer season is, everybody in Europe is visiting the Czech Republic because it's one of the hot spots.
Yeah.
Just for the beauty, the countryside. People go there to bike, hike, fish.
Yeah.
They're not just there to see beads.
It really is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to. It's there's something really special about the Czech Republic. So I didn't expect that when I went over there. I didn't expect to fall in love with the country. I knew I was going to fall in love with the beads and the factories and all that kind of thing. I didn't know that Prague was going to steal my heart, and then all the beautiful mountains and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then once we're outside of Prague, the people we meet, I've been dealing with since 2002.
Yeah.
So there's a great history there. They're great people.
They're family.
And they take great pride in showing you guys everything they know. They love talking about the history, everything from when the Czech Republic was under the communist regime, to the fall of communism, to glass industry, bead industry, Christmas ornaments, the history of jablonets.
It's really amazing that the bead industry has survived all of the political transfers, because they've been under German control, they've been under Russian control, then they became their own country, and through all of that there have been major shifts. And so we will get into some of the history over time too, but it's really quite stunning to find out that some of the things that they've had to go through.
Yeah.
The stuff when they were under Russian control, unbelievable.
Yeah.
There were only, one factory that was allowed to actually sell outside, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, there was there was multiple
company.
factories, but there was only one trading company.
Yeah.
And one of my first trips when I was buying a lot of stuff back in 2002, I had a free evening, and I was like, I'm going to go see, because they told me the movies were in English, and I was like, I'll go see a movie. And sure enough, the movie was English. It was in the basement of the city hall, the little movie theater. They had basically wooden benches still. And the movie starts, and it's on a projector, and it was Technicolor. So I think the movie projector was probably from the 60s.
Wow.
And it was an interesting, they didn't have popcorn, they had potato chips.
Because they were so brand new as a nation back then, you know?
It was potato chips and Pepsi. So that was your choice.
Yeah, because the Velvet Revolution was 97? 89. Okay, so they were still a little farther on.
Yeah.
But it took them a long time to kind of...
I mean, a lot of the buildings in Yablonets didn't get repaired or restored probably until 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So they were the old, you could see the brick. Nothing had been done with the, whatever the it's not terracotta.
Plaster?
Plaster
okay.
That they put on the outsides. So I mean, it was quite interesting the first few trips I took over there. Yeah,
and now it's very I remember getting off the plane for the first time and going, wait a minute, there's like a Starbucks. And I wasn't expecting that at all. So that was fun. So yeah, that's the answer. Is the best way to find out about the next Czech trip is to be signed up for my newsletter. So if you aren't signed up for my newsletter, go to JillWisemanDesigns.com, and there's a spot there where you can subscribe to the newsletter. Though that's going to be there, and in the group will be the first places that I will post about it. Now, I will say we had to cancel a trip last October, and so the people who are on that trip get first dibs on the next trip because, of course, they got cheated out of a trip. So you may end up even having to wait till 2022. We'll just have to kind of see how big we can make the trip. We still want to keep it where, like he said, we've become really good friends on the trip and we're hanging out together and stuff. So we don't want it to get too large in size. So there's always going to be more demand than that we have seats, basically. But we'll try our best. Okay, so what else you got?
So we talked about pearlized finishes.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about, or a few weeks ago, the transparent and the opaque, the opal glass.
Yes.
So now there's luster finishes, which basically are the daggers, the teardrops from that little assortment. These come in there's about 16 different lusters that are the main ones. You're going to have a light green and a dark green, a rose gold luster, brown, purple, blue, a gray. But this is sort of a sample card where obviously it's not complete. There's a few missing components, but we've got the same luster finish on different types of beads. So take the brown luster. Here we have the 151, meaning the bead is cut. The 19001 means it's a round bead. So this is a fire polished round bead in the 8mm, and it's done over crystal. So they've taken this brown luster and put it over crystal. You can see that it's still transparent. This is the same luster they've put on this fire polished bead, which is in color 02010, which is the alabaster white. So that's the same color that we used to make the Czech glass pearls. Two different bases, the same finish, and you can see with the lusters, it's going to vary based on is the bead opaque or is it transparent. So you can see then that the plain round looks a little bit more red than the faceted. This looks a little bit, it's not as granulated. You don't see the white as much.
Right.
And then this is a shape bead, sort of a oval that's kind of squished a little bit. So, as you look down the row, you can see using the same finish over various types of beads, they're going to come out completely differently. The luster finishes are different than the pearlized or the vacuum coats in that these finishes are done, the whole bead is put into sort of a vat, tumbled around, the coating is done, and then there's a heat process afterwards to make sure the coating does not come off. The only time I've heard of this coating coming off is if the beads were actually put in the dishwasher and Cascade was used.
Which we do not recommend.
Yeah, so I had a bead store customer call and complain about 10 years ago that the lady kept bringing the beads back and the coatings were coming off. And I was like, well, that's pretty much impossible. And the lady finally told the store owner that she was washing her jewelry in the dishwasher.
Oh my
with
God.
Cascade. And I guess that goes to show you
You just don't know how
Cascade is
abrasive.
And it gets your dishes clean, I guess.
and it takes your coating off your beads.
Yeah. So this sample card here is going to have, so there's about 16 different lusters. This is going to have sort of different shapes with some of the different lusters, and you can see, there's a green, a yellow, orange, and then these are all done on opaque white. So it's a little bit different than the alabaster white. The alabaster white's going to have a little bit of beige or cream to it, whereas the chalk white is basically like whiteout white. So you basically have a pure white bead with these finishes. So it looks a little bit less organic, a little bit, I think the lusters look better over the alabaster white. They look a little more organic, a little less manufactured. But this basically goes to show you, okay, this is the chalk white with the hematite or white luster. This is the chalk white with AB. The rest of them have the luster finishes, with the exception of this one down here is the brown travertine. In one of the next episodes or whatever, we'll talk about the various types of travertine and the various effects that they will have on different colors of glass.
We just had somebody asking about the Picasso finish too. I mean, is that just a version of travertine?
So travertine is the Czech name. Picasso Finish was one of the wholesalers in the U.S. came up with that idea probably 15 years ago.
So it's basically the same thing.
Yep. So
boy, I'm having little pins drop in my head as that explains a lot. So you don't even know how many hours I have tried to research whether I should call something Picasso or travertine.
So a lot of the beads might have 3 or 4 different names for the finishes based on who imported them, what the Czech company called them, and we'll see on the once we're talking about the vacuum coats, the California coatings. Some people call California coatings.
Yeah.
Other people have a name based on the 2 colors going into that finish and don't call it California coating, which is the name the coating factory actually came up with 4 or 5 years ago when those coatings first came out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
well, I'm no longer going to stress over travertine versus Picasso, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, the 2 most popular travertines are the silver travertine and the brown travertine.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So I've been told that Picasso coatings are going away. Do you know anything about that?
Unless something changed in the EU over regulations over that.
I wonder if
finish.
That's what's happened.
But I mean, they're still doing the acid wash, which was the one that 3 years ago they said they wouldn't be doing anymore. So I don't know. It might be something with the EU. It might not be.
A major bead wholesaler had told me that, and they've come out with what they call new Picasso, which frankly is not anywhere as nice as the old Picasso. So we'll find out a little bit more about that.
And it might be just another finish has come on the market that's cheaper.
Could be.
So they're trying to cut costs any way they can.
Yeah.
So the next coatings we're going to talk about are the vacuum coatings. The vacuum coatings are coatings that are done basically in a vacuum. It's a domed machine of glass.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're in a science class back in chemistry in high school or whatever. And the dome, basically, they put all the beads on the bottom, and the vacuum coating comes down from the top and basically coats basically half of the bead. So say
basically what's exposed is getting, okay.
So like when you see the Swarovski 2 ABX, that is a particular bead that has been coated twice in the vacuum. So I would assume Swarovski has a machine that actually turns the beads over or figures out how to do it.
Well, that's my question. So they're doing fire polish. Are they stranded like the pearls are, and so they would be able to flip it over and do a second?
So in the Czech Republic, the machines I've seen are about this big in diameter, so the beads are actually set
flat
on
in
the
there.
ground. I've not seen a machine where they're strung. That doesn't mean there isn't one. I would
Right.
assume if you have enough money, it'd probably be a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 machine. The machines I've seen are about $35,000 US.
Holy cow! Well, and the fact that the vacuum machine is only that big, my God, it takes forever to do those.
So like our button bead, when we have a 2ABX button, it's a 15 millimeter round coin. Those get put into the machine, coated once, and they have to physically turn each one over by hand because it's a tabular disc. And so since we're sort of running out of time, I will show one card of the vacuums,
and then
we'll come back and we'll go through, we'll dig in.
Okay, cool.
So this card right here is going to be the classic vacuum coatings. So these are coatings that Swarovski, Preciosa, all of the fire polish people would be using. Your Celsian, your Amethyst, your Claret, your Honey, your AB 10 times, which is going to be a very, very intense AB. You've got AB 3 times, AB 7 times. The AB 10 times, when it's on black, they're going to call that the blue AB.
Okay.
Because it's taken the yellow out, and it really has that blue, that intense, really, really, really nice blue.
Cool.
And as you can see here, this again is done on the fire polish.
Right.
We've got the jet and we've got the crystal. And you can see the difference in the finish when you go from the jet, where there's no light coming through, to the crystal, where the refraction of the light is changing the color of the actual finish.
Yeah.
And then you can see more intense orange to crystal here. The apricot finishes, we like to call those chili pepper.
Okay, gotcha.
And that has been by far on the 3-4 millimeter fire polish all the way up to 9x6 gem cut Rondelles, one of the most popular finishes. But I've got this whole book right here of vacuum coats, which on the next visit we are going to go through each of these cards and talk about the various finishes, talk about the various uses. And a lot of these vacuum coats go back to the 1800s.
Wow.
So a lot of the same form, like especially the AB, that one's been a couple hundred years. They've been doing it. Other of the finishes have been developed in the last 5 years. So it's an industry that's changing and growing substantially.
So it's an aerosolized because of the vacuum, the way it's okay. I'm just figuring out how that all works.
Yeah, and I mean the machine. I mean, you don't see it done in the U.S. Most of the vacuum coats are done in the Czech Republic or Germany at this point.
Okay.
And it's to buy one of those machines, it's quite expensive.
It's an event.
Yeah.
You're telling me I can't carve out a spot in my. We could just vacuum coat our own.
You'd have to get
I'd have to get the Czech Republic.
You'd have to get most of the coatings come from Switzerland or Germany.
Oh, okay.
So I did bring a few special treats.
Oh my God, you guys don't even know how good the special treats are.
So first thing is there's about 24 of these clasps. These clasps were made a few years after World War II. They're pretty solid clasps, and they're plated with rhodium. They've got the Preciosa crystal, and if you look on the back, they're all stamped made in Czechoslovakia. So these clasps were made not too long after Russia or the Soviet Union had taken over the Czech Republic. And they exported these to Italy, France, the UK, but these were used at that point in the fashion jewelry industry because of the quality and the just the heaviness of the clasp.
Yeah, it's a good solid box clasp for sure. And the reason I put two of these out there is I wanted to point out that some of, because they are just a little bit old, some of these crystals have yellowed with age. And so we have a couple of them that are the pure white. Most of them have a more of a yellowish tinge in that center, if not also in the outside crystals. So you're gonna have to trust us to send you a pretty clasp, and it might be more on the yellow side, It might be more on the crystal side. Sorry, guys, I just couldn't really.
And I brought 24 of them. Those are in my collection. I got them probably 10 or 12 years ago in the Czech Republic on one of my buying trips.
And yes, I did put one of those back for myself. Mom pointed out that there are actually only 15 of those left now, so.
All right, so this is actually a real piece of New York City history. After the Russians or the Soviet Union took over the Czech Republic, all of the glass bead industry was consolidated under one trading company called Jablonex. And that trading company pretty much controlled all of the glass beads that were being produced in the Czech Republic and the exportation of them all over the world. So in the US back in the late 50s, they had about 8 or 9 preferred wholesalers. So those 8 or 9 preferred wholesalers were the only ones allowed to wholesale Czech glass beads, or at that point Czechoslovakia, in the US. So this company, Wallbead, opened in New York in the late 50s. They closed in 2009. They had one of the original trade agreements with the communist government in the Czech Republic. So this is one of their original sample cards from the 1960s. And as you can see here, it says Indian seed beads. These seed beads would have been manufactured by the Czechoslovakian bead makers in the 60s to replace what the Native Americans had been getting from Italy. So the most of the jewelry the Native Americans had pre-1880s was made with Italian seed beads, which were quite a lot more expensive. And I believe it was in the 1920s, the Czech seed beads really started coming into the US, and these are the traditional Native American colors. Then you have the bugles, which have always been used in fashion and beaded purses and beaded dresses, wedding gowns. You have the roquels, which are the seed beads. And then you have the sew-on crystals. And the glass pearl finishes obviously have faded. And then the plated beads, obviously, they used to plate in gold, silver, and various metals to look like gold and silver beads. Those have tarnished. But this is an original sample card from this company from the 1960s. And this is one of their original boxes of 12 tubes of seed beads. So these boxes were what they would have sold to Woolworths, Five and Dime, Ben Franklin Crafts. They would have come in all the different colors, and basically that's how they sent them to the stores where women would buy the beads to do their crafts or fix their beaded purses or their beaded dresses.
That's so cool.
So this particular combo is $75.
And now on these, the clasps are on the website. These one-of-a-kind items, though, if you're just going to comment that it's sold, and the first person to comment sold, and tell me which item it is that you want to buy, and I will send you a PayPal invoice after this live is over to pay for that. So even if it's somebody already says sold, if they don't happen to pay for the invoice, then I'll go to the next person who said sold, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Lisa is the one who just said she wants the wall bead stuff.
It's a great piece of history, Lisa.
Yeah, it really is. I've
got one other sample card that I'm keeping for myself, and then I kept a box of cobalt blue.
Ooh.
But this particular item are old Preciosa buttons from the 40s. So we've got 3 different sets of these. They're crystal, Preciosa crystal. They're on their original sample cards from the button company called Elegant that actually sold them. They are a glued crystal chaton into a metal button holder. There's 6 on a card, and they're $10 a card. They're from the 40s. This one's got a little bit of mold on the card, but that does not affect the buttons. They're actually in really, really, really good condition. I bought them at an antique store, still in their original factory box from the 40s, probably back in 2003, 2004.
Yeah, they are really gorgeous. And these 3 cards all have an AB finish on them. There was another one, another card that he had that was just the plain clear crystal, that's why I know that's got the AB on it because I might have kept the plain crystal myself. I'm really sorry, guys. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to go back afterwards and figure out who. But
Yeah, and if you're putting sold on the thing, maybe put which item it is you want.
Yeah.
Just so we know. This next item, I only have one of them.
Yes.
The buttons are actually were made in the 1920s, but the card was actually made in the late 50s or early 60s. So this would have been buttons that had been sitting around the factory that never got carded up. This card was made after the fall, or after the Russians or the Soviets took over the Czech Republic. So the buttons, 1920s, they're all black, jet black, and that particular card is $12. It is the only one I've got.
And they're nice small size too, which is very cool. And don't they have like a, yeah, so they've got a really cool design in it. And I know it's hard to tell because they're black, but yeah, good job. Brian's getting in close, but you can kind of see the pretty design in there. So
yeah, the card does have a little bit of rip on the side, and there was some sort of sticker there. But I mean, this would be a perfect card to put into a black box and hang on the wall.
Okay, so Marie Thomas, she just said that she wants the black card.
Okay.
So
then these are, I got these in a bead store that the owner of the store specialized in rendezvous and reenactments. These seed beads are about 150 years old. So actually, they would probably be close to 170 years old at this point because I got them when I was 22 or 23.
When you were a baby.
Yeah. So these are, it's a sort of a coral color with a bluish stripe. And these would have been used by the Native Americans all over the U.S.
That is so cool.
And they're $8.95 for the bag.
He's just, believe it or not, he's just charging you what he would have paid for it, he paid for it originally.
20 years ago, that's probably like a $30 bag now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, geez. That's the one that I almost stole, but then he said that he would bring me, he's got one more bag that he had at home in his...
But I mean, those are, to just string a strand of those and put a little pendant on it, like a little tie silver or something.
That is some serious
simple.
history there.
They're tubular, so they probably at some point made these in a 4 to 6 millimeter bugle as well for like the Native American breastplates. Okay. But it's just a very unique piece of seed bead history.
Okay, so I'll go back, but I think Lisa was the first one to comment on that one sold also.
And then here, these are probably from the 50s, is a Czech glass pearlized button. There is one that got scratched at some point. But again, you're going to see the article number 70321 refers back to the button. You're going to see the colors on the side here. And this particular card is $15. And then on this side, you're going to see that the button is size 4. Now, the Czech glass buttons, their sizing system is different from the French system. So there's about 3 different button sizing systems the world uses. One is the Czech, one is the French, and then there's one, I believe, based out of India. So the size 4, if you Google Czech glass button sizing chart, you will see the size in millimeter and the size in inches on that sizing chart. But it is different than the French. So if you do have a pattern or something that is using the French sizes, it's definitely going to be different. Again, it's all hand-tied on the back.
Yeah.
So this is something that if you were visiting the factory back in the 50s, they would have given you this, and you would have said, okay, if I didn't like this shape, you would have a different number shape, and then you do the corresponding colors and the corresponding size to place your order into production.
Cool. So that one is $15.
And then this particular button,
really fabulous.
Yeah,
crazy
so this
wagon.
is the spinning star button, and this is a button that was produced in the early 2000s, probably 2006, 2007. So they basically did the same button, but in various colorations or variations. So you're going to see all of the buttons were made with crystal. So this they did crystal with just red paint. This they did crystal with red paint and a silver vacuum coat. This they did with crystal, the red paint, and a Maria finish. So that you're going to see, they've got the same button, 9 different variations. And then over here, they did 2 other variations. They did the purple with the silver backing, the light lavender. And then they did the dark amethyst with the silver backing. And then they did the same thing, light lavender with Maria and light lavender, or the dark amethyst with the Maria. So you sort of get the feel, you get to see, okay, it's the same shape, the same material, but as you're using the different finishing techniques, the different paints, the different vacuum coats, you get a completely different look, a completely different feel, and it's actually pretty cool to see, you've got 13 different buttons all made with the same shape but varying colors.
We've got multiple ladies saying sold, and they don't even know what the price is, John.
That one's $1,000. No, this one is only $40.
Yep.
So
I'll verify that he did not change that.
Yeah, I wanted to keep the prices reasonable so that other people can enjoy this stuff, because I've thoroughly enjoyed all of this stuff.
And they're going to good homes.
Yes. So this is the same colors, the same finishes, but a completely different button. This is the Kaleidoscope button. And it's called that because if you look at the button, you can see there's these little, basically, things you can sort of peer through. And basically the various finishes that we put underneath completely change what you're looking like. Here you're seeing the Maria. Here you're seeing the silver. Here's the crystal. You could put a color on the back of these. You could put paint on the back of them. So, with the Kaleidoscope button, the possibilities are endless. And again, this was made back in probably 2006. This one's $40 as well.
Okay.
These are probably a $4 or $5 retail button. So it is a fair price. You are getting, the various color codes. Eventually some of these buttons, if I do still have stock in them loose, Jill will be putting some of them on her site.
Yes,
Others, I do not have any more left, and this particular factory is gone. So these will never be made again unless someone else finds the molds and goes through with the program.
Some of the ladies were just asking whether we would have individual buttons also. And let me just tell you guys that we have got, you want buttons? Dude's got buttons. We actually are going to start carrying a ton of his vintage buttons. Some of them will be like this. Some of them are I don't know what.
Some of them are great just for jewelry, like black. Simple,
like
black with a full silver coat, black with a full gold coat, black with a copper coat. Even some of the ones I sent with some of this stuff, we've got some really nice green finishes, purple finishes. There's going to be some with lusters, some with the blue iris.
Excellent.
There's going to be a really, really nice variety of stuff that dates from the early 90s all the way to 2009. And a lot of those buttons, the factories are gone, but we've got a decent stash of them that we're going to make available to people.
Which I'm really excited about. So yes, the answer is not these specific buttons won't be sold individually, because part of their value is that they're on the original cards, right? Then it's a collection. So if you want ones that you're going to use in your jewelry, those ones we will definitely have, and more coming. Like I said, it's probably going to be late May, early June before I'm able to add too much more to the website. The reason is I'm in the middle of a switch with our inventory control system, and my hands are kind of tied right this second until that new system is installed in about 5 or 6 weeks. So that's when you're going to see a big flood of all this stuff coming. But this
This is the one thing
I feel like there should be a drum roll.
I'm kind of sad to see it go, but at the same point, it needs a new home. Most of these buttons were made from about 2000 to 2009. Some of them, like the Egyptian Pharaoh, is an old button. You've got 3-tone glass. You've got sort of a floral de lis This is a jet button with a hematite finish and then a copper wash. You've got a bumblebee with gold wings. You've got a fly with a gold wash and a blue iris finish. You've got a lizard with a gold finish. You've got a spider button, a snake button. Again, this is a very collectible button. A horse button. This is all hand painted. You've got a black cat, a dog. The black cat has a gold wash and 2 little Preciosa crystals.
That is so cool.
Basic flower button. Parrot, all hand painted, hand ground. Fido, he's all hand painted. Heart with a copper wash. Moon. This is a backlit Maria, so they put the finish on the bottom and they left the top completely crystal. These are oval buttons, all hand cut, all hand painted, multiple colors. And then Lacy buttons, which the Lacy buttons go all the way back to the 1820s. They still make them today. A lot of the old ones sell for $50 to $100 a button. You saw some in Roman's collection over there.
Yeah.
This particular card is $150.
When he sent me a text to this card earlier this week, I literally gasped when the text photo came through. And one of the other things that's really cool about this particular card is you've got, it's really nicely finished. I mean, like, it even has finished edges and stuff. I mean, this is not falling apart.
This particular card would have been carried around by the salesperson for Beads and Beyond back in the early 2000s as he went to bead and button stores trying to sell these particular items. Back then, you can see, $13.20 for 12 pieces, $19.20 for 12 pieces. So we're talking prices of these buttons 20 years ago. Today, this particular button would probably be in between $12 and $15.
Easily.
Back then, it was $4.
Yeah.
So as labor has gone up, as there's less and less people willing to make and hand paint, this green, this red, this yellow, this black, it's all hand painted. This is all hand ground after they've pressed it. If it's a metal shank, the metal shank's been put in by hand as they're pressing the button. Yeah. So the buttons, I mean, each one is different. Each one's a unique piece of art, and they're just very unique.
They're stunning.
So,
yeah. So we are so lucky that he is choosing to share this with you guys. He could have sold this to a lot of different people, and I was nice to him on that trip to China. So on that long flight, I think I even brought you like a bottle of water at one point or something. So, so I suck up to him so that he'll give us opportunities like this. A couple questions that I wanted to address that I saw kind of pop up. People wanted a quick look at the pearlized and the pearlized / wax coating mixes again. So this is the combo mix with the wax. So that's on the website. That one is the wax one. And so you've got all sorts of different shapes and colors in there. And so they're a half pound of buttons. And so everything in that, beads. I'm sorry, of beads. All these B words.
That's one of my favorite, the spiral.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's something that you don't see very often. But that entire tray is one half pound mix. So each of these sets is what you're going to get in your baggie.
So it's a heck of a lot of beads.
It's a lot of beads is what we're saying. Yeah, you're going to be able to make a ton of different pieces of jewelry. And
even these, like the leaves.
Yeah, those are so gorgeous.
That's a bead that was probably made back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And when I was over there experimenting, they probably had 2 kilos of each color.
So cool.
And I just let's throw them in and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is, Mom's been doing a great job at home, hanging out with the doggos and popping up the link to where these mixes are on the website. Like I said, I will go back on the comments and I'll be able to tell who commented first on each item. And if I need verification about which item somebody was trying to buy, I will contact you, so I'll just work my way down the list. so that we can make sure that everybody gets something. I think in the future, see, we're figuring this out. In the future, we need to assign like a number to each one.
That's a good idea.
So we'll do it even better next time because you're going to bring more, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Give me an excuse to fly to Austin.
That's right. We're planning a really good dinner tonight, so I'm taking him over to the Domain area, and we're gonna go eat healthy because he's like on this healthy kick. Maybe we should just go to Gino's Italian. That's my personal favorite. Anyway, but that is all after we get all this taken care of. And if you don't hear from me tonight, if you tried to buy something, if you don't hear from me tonight, you will hear from me tomorrow because we may run out of here. I don't know what time it is. We may run out of here before I get all that done because there's a lot of work involved in the back end of that. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with us. And I am super excited about this because I just can't even tell you how much I just learned and things that have befuddled me for so long. So he is going to, you can't even believe he brought all these additional sample cards. I'm getting a little bit of a preview of what's coming in the future. And we've got a lot of topics to cover.
The next one will be vacuum coatings.
Yeah, so vacuum coatings is
very fascinating bit of information.
And I'm really excited about starting to dive through his books also on the beads so that I can share some of that info with you too, because there's only so much we can cover. We're trying to make it about an hour. We are so over an hour. We're at an hour and 22 minutes now. But we're trying, because we know there's only so much time that you have in your day. But there's so much to talk about too. So thank you guys. We will see you again probably in... I don't know. We have to set up the next time that I'm going to talk him into coming.
We will do a few shorter videos of some book recommendations. Yes. And I will, there were quite a few questions on the colors of glass, so I will try to make a small video explaining the numbering system, more written down, so that people who don't necessarily learn through hearing but are more visual and learn through reading will be able to help you guys more fully understand and appreciate the system the Czechs have set up.
Well, and actually, the reason I was kind of hesitating on the next time he's coming down is I'm actually going to be going up to his warehouse in Chicago. This will be the first time that I have traveled in over 2 years.
Wow.
Which just blows me away.
That's scary.
Yeah. But I'm going to be going up to his warehouse at the beginning of June, and we can set up something there.
Yep.
So I can show you some of the behind-the-scenes stuff at his warehouse, and we'll do a quick Facebook Live up there. And I'll get that set up. That's weeks away. So
a month away.
Oh, so a month away. All right, guys. I think that's everything today.
Yep. Everybody have a good evening. Stay safe.
Absolutely. And happy beading.
Yep.